Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am so thankful all of y'all are here. I pray y'all can find home here, and if so, welcome. Look, I know we got a different background, a different setting, but I still got y'all on the water. Or if you want some Sprite, I got that. What else? You like Coke or Pepsi? Coffee or tea? I got you. Just let me know, okay? But today I want to talk about why so many traumatized people feel so lonely. Or if it's not a feeling, it's also physically we are lonely. We tend to have lives that we're only deeply connected and the most authentic with ourselves or in our own space. And I have a theory about why this happens, like I do so well, okay? And I guess to start out on this video, let's talk a little bit about how we grew up. So, most traumatized people grew up in settings where it was based on survival, it was based on get in to fit in. There was no other option to be who you are, to act how you want to act, to say what you want to say. You could have thoughts and natural impulses that you were forced to suppress. So a lot of us are acting in a way unnatural to us, but because it's gone on for so long, our default response, I hope y'all can't hear that dog barking. I really pray it's not too loud. But our default responses are to suppress ourselves, are to overthink our first thought, are to second guess our intuition and what we feel in that moment or our gut feeling. So once we get older, I think it's a lot harder to get out of the loneliness, because when we're kids, when we're young, it's so easy to make friends. You know, you go to school, you can make a friend in your first class just because y'all sit close to each other and y'all joke a lot, you know? You can make friends so easy when you're in school, but when you're an adult and you start really living your life, now you have to actually be intentional about putting yourself in friendships and relationships. And you have to actually see the value of having friendships and relationships to even cultivate that with somebody. So, the biggest problem that I'm seeing is that when it comes to actually creating a relationship and maintaining a relationship, say a friendship or romantic relationship, a lot of people, including myself, I went through this too. I felt like I was hopeless to have boundaries or to take up space in the relationship. I felt like my role in the friendship or the group or wherever was to be the least needy as possible. To be the least seen, the least heard. I didn't really know how to assert myself, because in my childhood, asserting myself and really speaking up and speaking my thoughts was dangerous. It could put me in the middle of an argument. It could cause negative feelings in others. And just a lot of negative stuff that I wanted to avoid. So, like I said, I learned how to suppress myself, suppress my identity. And now as an adult, I find myself doing that in relationships. And it's like, I don't have to do that anymore. I'm more than capable of putting up boundaries if need be. I'm more than capable of speaking up. I have a very clear voice, okay? Decent grammar. You know what I mean? People can hear me. People can understand what I'm saying. But also with traumatized people, we're kind of stuck in this belief that we're still that 10-year-old self. We're still our 15-year-old self that couldn't speak our thoughts, that couldn't be the person who we really are. So when we're looking through the lens of who we used to be, when we were defenseless, when we were helpless, of course, when you get into relationships, you're still going to feel like that same person, but you're not. So I'm sorry, y'all. It's so many nets right now. But the biggest space of healing that I found I had to do was understanding that people are not going to shut me down if I'm assertive. People will not react to me the same way that people reacted to me in my childhood. Like, it's safe to assert myself. It's safe to speak my mind, my thoughts, my desires. Like, it's safe. So learning that, it makes it a lot easier to be in relationships and social settings even, because now I'm not overthinking, oh my god, what are people going to say, how are they going to react? No, I say it, I put it out there, and I allow people to respond how they want to respond, because that's what socializing is. I really hope y'all can't hear that dog barking. Oh, that's annoying. If you went through any type of trauma as a child, there's a great chance that you don't feel like a whole person. You don't feel like you have a right to really be seen and be heard and to even stand out in a group or something like that. You feel like you have to be quiet, you have to be this very closed off, distant person, because when you were open, when you were vulnerable, it was shut down and you were forced to suppress who you were out of survival. So understand that when it comes to trauma, you've learned a certain set of habits that kept you safe. You've learned a certain way of being that you had to be in order to remain safe in the group, in the home, or in the relationship. So don't be hard on yourself if you find yourself suppressing your voice or not speaking up when you want to, because you have to now completely transform how you see yourself from the outside looking in. You have to now start believing that people want to hear what you say, people want to be your friend, people want to associate with you, and you don't have to hide who you really are. Also, if you've been through trauma, you may find it hard to believe that you can maintain your sense of peace around other people or in a relationship or in friendships. And I found this is one of the main reasons I've avoided like really being intentional about making friends or really putting myself out there, because I have this subconscious belief that when I get into a friendship, they're going to try to control me. They're going to try to make me go out every weekend. They're going to do this, they're going to do that. But it's like, we're adults. We can make boundaries. We can speak and say, hey, I don't feel like going out, but I would love to meet up with you next week. Hey, I don't really feel like doing that, but we can do this. Or you can just go. You know what I mean? You can just go and enjoy yourself. Like, we have to reframe how we see ourselves. How are you viewing yourself? Do you think you're still helpless? Do you think you're still unable to speak up for yourself? How are you viewing yourself? I think that's the first place to focus on when it comes to healing trauma, because how we view ourselves is how we're not only going to treat ourselves, but we're also going to assume that other people see us that way. And we end up creating this whole lifestyle that reflects how we think people will treat us. We end up living how we think we should to stay safe, and the truth is, if you've been through relational trauma, not getting in a relationship or not socializing and making friends is not going to keep you from being hurt. You're still going to attract people. You're still going to find yourself in situations. And if you're not building up the skills to know what to do in those situations, you're still going to go through the same drama, the same mess. So it's like, build your skills up. Sorry, y'all. Build your skills up. Do what you have to do. Unlearn certain habits. Challenge your own beliefs. And allow yourself to open up as it feels appropriate. A lot of traumatized people aren't able to emotionally regulate themselves in the moment around other people, because when you were younger or when you were in that toxic situation, you weren't allowed to regulate yourself. Somebody was always trying to trigger you. Somebody was unintentionally triggering you and didn't care. People didn't care about your feelings. People didn't care about what you had to say. People just didn't care about your spiritual and emotional body. And now you carry a belief that nobody cares about my feelings. Nobody will take me serious. Nobody will understand if I'm upset at them. It's a plane going by. I think it's American Airlines, something like that. So we're carrying around this belief that we won't be able to regulate ourselves in the presence of somebody else because we think everybody wants to override our boundaries. We think everybody wants to push and persuade and try to peer pressure us into doing things. And it's like, even if somebody does do that, we are still capable, more than capable, of standing up for ourselves. So you have to start believing that you can actually stand up for yourself. You have to actually start believing that you have the capacity and the voice and the right to stand up for yourself. I'm not saying walk around mad at everybody and telling everybody off for the smallest things, but like, if something is really, really bothering you, you can tell people, like, that's bothering me. I don't like that. And if they don't respect that, then obviously they're not a good friend and you can move around. Like, everybody you meet doesn't have to become your best friend. Everybody you meet doesn't have to become your husband. It's okay to take relationships casually and see how people react to you being authentic. See how people react to you speaking up on your feelings. And if they can't receive that, then they're just not meant to be in your life. It doesn't have to be something that you have to put up with. You don't have to put up with anybody. But I think it is healthy to have friendships and relationships because we're human. We want to belong. We want to connect, you know? And then lastly, when it comes to traumatized people, we weren't shown how to properly assert ourselves. Again, the survival mechanism was to suppress. And ooh, oh my God, there's a head on me. Get out. Oh my God, y'all. I'm gonna have to go in a second. There's ants crawling all over me. But we weren't shown how to properly assert ourselves because it wasn't important to survive in the family. It wasn't important to maintain whatever environment was there. So when you're never encouraged to express yourself, when you're never encouraged to be who you truly are, but instead you're encouraged to stay quiet, you're encouraged to follow somebody blindly, you're encouraged to dismiss and reject your own thoughts and feelings, you end up believing that this is the way the world works. This is how I should operate in the world to stay safe. And that's not the truth. I understand it can be scary to transition out of that belief that me being a shell of myself is what's keeping me safe, but it's not. If anything, it's holding you back, and you're still going to run into the same issues and problems because it's a belief that you're holding in your mind, in your body. It's not the world. But once you transform that belief, once you transform that belief, slowly but surely the environment will start to mirror back to you healthier relationships or people that get you on a certain level and can validate your feelings. But you have to be the first to believe that there are people out there like that, you know? I'm gonna end this video right here. If you made it to the end, like, comment, subscribe. I am so thankful y'all are here, y'all. And like I always, well, I don't always say this, but if you want a shout out, just put shout out somewhere in your comment and I will read it in the video. And yeah, so I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.